The ever-woke Prince Harry is slammed for calling the First Amendment bonkers, all as he whines about genetic pain. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest cringe-worthy interview featuring the Prince of Wokeness himself, how it exemplifies a number of features of cultural Marxism, and why Harry and Meghan are fast becoming totally unwanted on both sides of the Atlantic. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve with you. Great to be with you. As always, we are your daily antidote to fake news, as each and every day we analyze current events in light of some larger conservative trends to help you think better in these crazy and turbulent times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we get into things here, I am so excited to invite you to our brand new PATRIOT Entrepreneur Live event that we're holding on June 4th and 5th. It's a virtual conference, so you don't even have to leave the comfort of your own couch, and you can secure your seats simply by clicking on the link below. If you're looking to be a PATRIOT entrepreneur who's currently frustrated and feeling trapped in your woke job, passionate about your work, but disheartened about your woke environment, or perhaps you're a current business owner who wants to take your impact to the next level, well, then you're going to absolutely love our upcoming PATRIOT Entrepreneur Live. I've invited top conservative entrepreneurs to join me and share their wisdom with you as together we build a world of freedom without sacrificing our callings and talents. I hope to help you live out your calling free from cancel culture, free from woke corporations, and free from the grasp of leftist ideologues, and give you all the tools you need to be living a life of complete independence. Now, if you click on that link below right now, you can take advantage of our early bird special and register at a super low price, but that special offer is going to be expiring at midnight tonight, so do not miss it. Click on that link below and take advantage of our early bird special that expires literally in hours, and I'll see you for a weekend that promises to be a game changer like you're never before. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. The increasingly woke royal Prince Harry has been making more waves over the last few days, fresh off that disastrous interview with fellow victim of oppression Oprah Winfrey. Harry gave an interview for Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, where the Duke of Sussex continued to demonstrate his woke bona fides. By the way, if you want to see our deep dive into that Oprah interview, you could check that out by clicking on the link here. You can see that video. You'll love it because we get into what happens when the royal family meets woke liberalism. You're not going to want to miss it. But regardless, Harry is back at it again. And during this latest interview on the podcast, he slammed Joe Rogan over his COVID comments. Rogan had recently stated the opinion that he didn't think young, healthy people should get vaccinated, to which Harry responded by telling him to stay out of it. Stay out of the whole issue. With your platform comes responsibility. Harry then slammed the endemic misinformation that passes as news on today's social media, at least according to him, blaming algorithms on the internet designed by big tech companies. And he had a thing or two to say about them. He said that the algorithms were all the worse because they, quote, perpetuate biases and habits you already have, creating an echo chamber. As for who's to blame when something goes wrong, he pointed his finger at big tech executives saying, and who wrote the algorithms? You guys did. You're probably all male and all white. And if that weren't bad enough, Harry actually took on the First Amendment, the sacred right of free speech, calling it, quote, bonkers. He said, quote, I've got so much I want to say about the First Amendment as I sort of understand it, but it is bonkers. I don't want to start going down the First Amendment route because that's a huge subject and one which I don't understand because I've only been here a short time. But you can find a loophole in anything. You can capitalize or exploit what's not said rather than uphold what is said. Yeah, okay. He then shared one of the major reasons why he decided to relinquish his royal duties and relocate to the United States, which he attributed to what he called a cycle of, quote, genetic pain and suffering with his family, explaining that Prince Charles raised Harry the way Charles had been raised. Harry argued that he was the product of some severe generational miseries. He said, quote, he's treated me the way that he was treated. There's a lot of genetic pain and suffering that gets passed on anyway. We as parents should be doing the most we can to try and say, you know what? That happened to me. I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen to you. And then he relayed how Meghan Markle encouraged him to get therapy to deal with the trauma of being raised a royal, which he claims he has done, saying, quote, "Once I started doing therapy, it was like the bubble was burst. I plucked my head out of the sand and gave it a good shake off. And I was like, you're in the position of privilege. Stop complaining and stop thinking you want something different. Make this different because you can't get out. How are you going to do these things differently? How are you going to make your mom proud and use this platform to really affect change?" Having addressed his mental health, he ended up likening royal family life as, quote, "a mix between the Truman Show and being in a zoo." Wow. So Harry is now lamenting the genetic pain of his upbringing and comparing royal life to being a zoo animal. He's blaming social media algorithms on white men. And now he's even calling the First Amendment bonkers. No wonder the royal family has been so distraught over what happened to him. I mean, what do you say to these interviews? I mean, dude, seriously, get a grip. Now, what's happened to Harry is unfortunately what's happened to many rather young people his age, and that is simply this phenomenon that's being increasingly referred to as going woke. Harry has gone and gotten himself woke, and being woke involves embracing a number of far-left sentiments. For example, his derogating the creators of social media algorithms as white men comes from an ideology peddled by cultural Marxists such as Herbert Marcuse in the 1950s and 60s, called repressive tolerance. How's that for a term, right? It's pretty clear Harry buys into this whole absurd notion of repressive tolerance, right? Sounds like married bachelor. It's a contradiction in terms, isn't it? Repressive tolerance. But simply put, repressive tolerance involves championing all minority opinions and minority groups, while at the same time excluding and denigrating unequivocally anything conservative, anything indicative of the dominant ethno-cultural group or tradition. Remember, Marcuse was a Marxist, and as a Marxist, he saw the world as made up of a binary of antithetical power distributions between a dominant colonialist power, which is often labeled white and male, that disenfranchises politically and socially minority cultures through sexist, racist, classist exclusions. And so to be woke is to recognize this binary of power discrepancies in society, and then you become an SJW, right? A social justice warrior who works tirelessly to overcome these social injustices, these power inequities, often by disparaging white males, right? But again, the fundamental strategy for awakening this woke society is repressive tolerance, which involves championing all minority opinions and minority groups, while at the same time derogating and denigrating unequivocally anything indicative of the dominant ethno-cultural group or tradition. So, woke social justice warriors are trying to hold a coalition of supposedly oppressed minorities together, largely by focusing on a supposed enemy common to all oppressed minorities, which is, in our day and age, of course, the white male. And this is where the role of blaming white supremacy and male patriarchy for every single evil under the sun becomes so important in maintaining cultural Marxist norms. And Harry is clearly embracing those norms. And as we can see, embracing those norms allows you to basically hate your family. In other words, pledging your fealty to wokeism often requires that you break free from any loyalties and any sense of obligation to your own family, because your own family may be white privileged racists. And being woke is all about change. It's calling out that white privilege. And so what we're seeing here is we're seeing the effects of modern day cultural Marxist leftism that has absolutely no loyalties whatsoever to the foundational societal institutions like family, faith, and community, and the like. And again, we get into this deeper in the video we did on Meghan and Harry's interview with their fellow oppressed ultra-millionaire Oprah. But the real backlash, of course, came as a result of Harry's comments about the First Amendment. So as it turns out, not only does he have no loyalties to his own family or his royal lineage, it turns out he has no loyalties to the country he's now calling his new home. Yes, it appears that Harry has taken up the cultural Marxist mantle of hating America, and he's only been here for a few months. But His calling the First Amendment bonkers, especially at a time when big tech oligarchs are so blatantly violating the First Amendment, did not escape the scorn and ridicule of many. Fellow Brit Piers Morgan wasted no time in responding to Harry's comments, saying, quote, "The First Amendment is one of the things I most admire about the United States, especially coming from a country like Britain, where free speech for journalists like me is now heavily regulated. Like so much of the absurd, Meghan-inspired psychobabble that spews out of Harry's mouth, none of this makes any sense, and he clearly doesn't understand what he's saying either." Texas Senator Ted Cruz responded, "Nice that he can say that," pointing out the obvious irony of Harry's comment. Texas Representative Dan Crenshaw wrote, "Well, I just doubled the size of my independent state party." Former Brexit leader Nigel Farage tweeted, "For Prince Harry to condemn the USA's First Amendment shows he has lost the plot. Soon he will not be wanted on either side of the pond." I love Nigel. Candace Owens wrote, "Sunday riddle, how many more Hollywood-style interviews will Prince Harry and Meghan Markle give before they finally achieve the privacy they claim to be so desperate for?" And finally, Dinesh D'Souza wrote, "I wonder if he also thinks the Fourth Amendment is bollocks and the 14th Amendment is pish-posh." Nice, very funny. All right, but obviously the absurdity of Harry's comments on the First Amendment has come back to bite him big time. Not only is he showing that he cares nothing about our nation and its cultures, its customs, and its traditions, but you'll notice the irony of all this. The First Amendment is obviously not bonkers for Harry. As far as he's concerned, Harry can say whatever he wants. After all, he's royalty. He's part of the privileged class. In Harry and Meghan's woke world, they get to say whatever they want because they're all for change. What makes the First Amendment so odious to them, of course, is what? It's the fact that you get to say whatever you want. The masses get to express their opinion to openly their misinformed, their disinformed opinions. Ugh, disgusting. How could America allow something so vile? Welcome to the privileged political class that governs our leftist globalist institutions. Rules for thee, not for me. So Harry certainly stepped into it big time. The backlash has been quite severe. And as Nigel Farage so astutely observed, pretty soon, this so-called royal couple isn't going to be wanted on either side of the Atlantic. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded. It's on how a longtime CNN contributor actually got caught praising Hitler as Greg Gutfeld dominates the ratings. We take a look at the embarrassing revelations of a longtime and prolific contributor to CNN, how those revelations point to precisely why CNN is collapsing before our very eyes, and why Fox's Greg Gutfeld is absolutely dominating the competition. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.